Welcome back. Kate Daly Show. And I've got Susan Reeve. Got some great info in this next segment as well. And so you were just talking about Daryl Cooper, Susan, and interviewed by Tucker. Also, Tucker had a great interview with Simone Gold, Dr. Simone Gold, who I've interviewed as well several times. And she was talking about the fact that Kaiser was the one that said, you cannot prescribe as a doctor anything that we don't tell you you can prescribe. It was Kaiser, but we'll talk more about that this week in the shows this week. But he's had some interesting interviews lately.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And one of the topics that Daryl Cooper covered was Jim Jones. And I know you know a lot about Jim Jones. And there's a very strange background to that as well.
CIA asset.
So one of the things that people were upset about this article is he said that the commanders called Berlin, who were in charge of these concentration camps, and said, we need food. You're not giving us any. And they said, we're not promising you anything. And they said, well, if you're going to kill them, then isn't it going to be more humane if we do that right away? Isn't it? So the word humane with a commander of a concentration camp freaks people out. That you would say humane, that this was a humane thing to do. No, he wasn't saying it was humane. He was saying that they didn't go in thinking that's what they were going to be in charge of. And that this was done out of humanity. Of course, that's twisted and psycho. Of course it is. But Candace Owens recommended a movie that I watched, which in 1945, it's called The Savage Peace, about what happened in the aftermath of the war to the German people as retaliation. And it kind of sent a shiver up my spine because people felt so justified in beating them and raping them and attacking them, even average people. And I thought, I am praying to God that if Trump is elected and immigrants are said to need to return, that people will maintain their sanity and not use immigrants as scapegoats for frustration and anger and rage, because that's humanity. That is what people do. So anyway, it was just such a deep, dark dive on World War II. And I thought, wow, that's a perspective I had never considered, the aftermath. Anyway, I think it's useful. This is what social media was going to bring us. It was always going to bring us this, which is why they're trying to control it, right? Don't want these ideas passing through our minds, even if we're going to think about them critically, critical thinking. They don't want that. So it's
Daryl Cooper.
Yeah, Daryl Cooper. So a very funny story. I love this story so much because you and I were onto this from day one. Supposedly on Reddit, a roommate posted a document, took pictures and posted a document of look what so-and-so found on her desk at work. And it was the contract that allegedly reveals the staged relationship breakup between Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, the football player.
Travis Kelce. Yeah, it's very interesting too because it's football season. So this will be we've said from the beginning, you and I have agreed this was a very contrived thing and put in our faces. And of course, she's pro Hormala and everything else, and so is he, and how weird this relationship is. Very strange.
Yeah. Well, and there was a different woman who came forward when they were first going out that said, I was approached by a PR team that said, Travis Kelce's trying to get into Hollywood. Would you be willing to go out with him and start a relationship? And she said, no, I wasn't interested in doing that. And it turns out, so this is some of the funny things that it says, that the breakup date is supposed to be September 28th. And it shows pictures of the documents, the alleged documents, right?
Yeah.
And it says this document's intended for internal use only. It should not be shared with external parties. And then they engaged a legal team to counter this public exposure that they now have. So earlier this year, Vivek Ramaswamy said, oh, I wonder who's going to win the Super Bowl next month. And I wonder if there's a major presidential endorsement coming from an artificially, culturally propped up couple this fall. just some wild speculation over here. Let's see how this ages over 8 months
Mm-hmm.
in
Hmm.
Taylor Swift, because he was in those commercials
Mm-hmm.
for the vaccine.
Yes. Very big promoters. Hmm.
Absolutely. And then now Paige Van Zant has come out. She's a martial artist. And she says this concoction, Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce romance, is 100% fake.
Mm-hmm.
She said she was approached. She said, I was on Dancing with the Stars. I hired a publicist.
Mm-hmm.
And she says she was approached for a stage date with an NFL player. And so she said, this is done by PR people in Hollywood
Yep.
to promote both their
Mm-hmm.
careers. You go, well, what is Taylor Swift getting out of this? I still don't get that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's usually a distraction, and it's usually it's to very much co-opt the audience into thinking that this is a real thing, right? And so when you look at the promotion, they've got a lot of young girls, young people, young girls that could possibly have infertility problems in the future, basically taking their advice, and then they become the super power couple, and so both of them are on the treadmill saying vaccines, 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 and the young girls say, well, I've got to go get it because they're the power couple of the century, so now we have to follow their advice.
Absolutely. And if you go through the supermarket checkout, whose
Mm-hmm.
face is on the cover, it's this power couple.
Yeah.
So they know what they're doing in
Mm-hmm.
terms of publicity. And if young people do not know that this is how it works, this is
Yeah.
how the game works.
Yes.
They did it in Hollywood. They would pair all these couples together to promote movies and leak rumors of romance, and
Mm-hmm.
they do it all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I think so much of what we see is very contrived for these entertainment purposes. The NFL is very contrived for entertainment purposes. So I can see the willingness to go along with this. And then you've got people just, well, you had the Super Bowl last time, all contrived around moments they could film between the two of them. And that was supposed to be the highlight. We're a society of crazy when it comes to we'll buy anything they sell to us, and a lot of it's entertainment. NFL's scripted entertainment, I feel. So
So it completely is,
so's
and they
Taylor.
know what sells. They know
Yes.
what news,
Hmm.
they know what sells products, and this
Taylor
couple sells.
Taylor Swift is very different from the Taylor Swift that started in music. The Taylor Swift of today is a very different vehicle than when she was a kid strumming along on her guitar, and got found and became a product of all of the exact same ideology as all of the other big stars when they get their fame and glory. It's kind of fascinating how much was changed with her. Boy, we could do a whole show just on that. Thank you, Susan Reeve. Appreciate it.
My
And thank you. And of course, on to Melissa. Don't go anywhere. Kate Dalley Show, katedalleyradio.com. Be right back. You're not going to want to miss a minute of today's show. Be right back.
Looking